1.
Welcome inside the CEC TV studios for another exciting edition of Trailblazer Weekly. As always, I'm your host, Carrick Segmiller, and today we're thrilled to have DSU broadcast media student James Guerin co-hosting the show with us today. James, thanks for being here.
Sure thing, Carrick. I'm happy to be here. Today we've got another Trailblazer Weekly Express with all the results and some highlights from homecoming Saturday, capped with a look ahead at next week's schedule.
You all know the drill. There's no time to waste. Trailblazer Weekly starts now. Again, welcome inside this week's edition of Trailblazer Weekly. Nearly all the DSU fall sports teams were in action on homecoming Saturday, though not all at home, but we've got the results for you right here and some highlights as well. We start the show today on the football field as the Trailblazers hosted Adams State with a chance to end a two-game losing skid, and did they ever. The Trailblazers erupted for a season-high 620 yards of total offense and a 54-28 win over the Grizzlies. We've got all the highlights for you, and believe me, there are a lot of them. About 3 minutes of highlights. Let's enjoy it. Let's roll the tape on the football highlights. All started early in the first quarter. Blake Barney, 32-yard touchdown scamper after both teams traded punts. Put the Trailblazers up 7-0, celebrating the touchdown there. He says, I got into the end zone this time. 7-0 Dixie State. A few minutes later, Barney again, this time from 6 yards out, would put the Trailblazers up 14-0. It looks like the Trailblazers are going to cruise in this one, but after a Dixie State interception, here come the Grizzlies, tossing it to the end zone, and it is 14-7 in the second quarter. Trailblazers would respond with a field goal as A.J. Jurgensen knocked that one through, 17-7, but the Grizzlies marched right back down the field. A 1-yard touchdown run from running back Tyree Harris would cut the lead to 17-14, but that is as close as the Grizzlies would get. They'd have to talk about it for a minute. Referees finally concurred, yes, it is a touchdown. How about C.J. Luongo? He had himself a game in his first game back in a couple of weeks due to injury. Goes for a 67-yard scamper, breaking tackle after tackle there. And the drive, though, would eventually stall in the red zone, and the Trailblazers would again attempt a field goal. A.J. Jurgensen, this time from 22 yards out, would give the Trailblazers a 20-14 lead. Adams State looked to respond, marching toward the end zone late in the second quarter. Nick Rooney, quarterback, lobs it up, looking for his receiver. But Tyno Cooper's there. He says, nope, that is my ball. And he's thinking pick six all the way across the 40 to the 50. Still on his feet at the 40, spinning away from another defender. Finally caught at about the 35-yard line. But that would set up this fireworks. Blake Barney, 31-yard touchdown pass, finding Casey Allison, who goes up high, makes the grab over the ASU defender for a touchdown and a 27-14 halftime lead. Early in this third quarter, Adams State driving again. Pass to the end zone. Jalen Moore, one-handed interception in the end zone, getting the ball back for the Trailblazers, and that would lead to points again for the Trailblazers. This time it's Blake Barney finding Orlando Wallace, getting past the Grizzly defenders. 46-yard touchdown, 34-21 your score. A little bit later, Orlando Wallace, another touchdown, taking the pass from Blake Barney, getting past a couple of guys, and Trailblazers would go up 41-21 at that point in the third quarter. Adams State using a little trickeration in the fourth quarter, finding the end zone for the final time with a halfback pass. But C.J. Luongo, he had himself a game, would finally get into the end zone. He rushed for almost 200 yards and finally found his way into the end zone late in the fourth quarter. It looked like the scoring would be done, but the Dixie State defense said, I want to get on the fun. Donovan Williams chasing down Nick Rooney late in the fourth, knocking the ball loose. Remington Kelly scoops it up, and he will rumble 46 yards the other way for his first collegiate touchdown. Dixie State winning it 54-28, ending a two-game losing skid. Again, the Trailblazers 620 yards of total offense in that game. Blake Barney accounted for 350 of those and 5 touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, and he would earn himself Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference Offensive Player of the Week honors for his performance. A great game for the Trailblazers to get back in the win column. Now 4-5 overall, 4-4 in RMAC play. They will host number 24, Colorado State Pueblo, on Saturday at 1 p.m. at Legend Solar Stadium. Got to have this game and the game against Fort Lewis next week if they want to finish with a winning record. So great game for the Dixie State football team.
To the soccer pitch now as the women's soccer team wrapped up its 2-game road swing on Saturday at Concordia Irvine. Darian Murdoch opened the scoring with her 19th goal of the season in the 44th minute, heading home a Montana Hadley free kick to stake the Trailblazers to a 1-0 lead at halftime. The lead would hold until the final 8 minutes as the Eagles tied the game in the 83rd minute and headed home corner kick in the 90th minute to clinch the 2-1 win. The Trailblazers are now 12-5 overall and hold an 8-4 record in Pac-West play. We stay with soccer as the men's team also wrapped up its 2-game road trip on Saturday at Concordia Irvine. The Eagles struck first to take a 1-0 lead in the 19th minute, but Dixie State would respond as Christian Hall leveled the match with a goal in the 26th minute, and later Moises Medina gave DSU a 2-1 lead in the 46th minute. Concordia would tie the game in the 58th minute before Arthur Dawood gave the Trailblazers a 3-2 lead with a goal in the 73rd minute, but like the women's match, the Eagles would score 2 goals in the final 8 minutes to clinch a 4-3 victory. Dixie State now sits at 11-4 overall and 7-4 in Pac-West play.
To the volleyball court now as the Trailblazers hosted Biola on Saturday before heading to Southern California for 2 matches later this week. And we've got some highlights from that match, and we want to take a look at those now. Dixie State stayed close with Biola through all 3 sets, tying at 20-20 in the first set with that block, but Biola would respond, taking 5 out of the next 7 points scored in the set to win the first set 25-22. Take a 1-0 lead in the match at that point. Dixie State would fight and stay close with Biola, tying the game up at 21-21 with that kill in the second set. You thought maybe they'd break through, but Biola again responding, this time by closing the set with a 4-0 match. You see that block there is what ended the second set. Dixie State would take a 20-15 lead in set 3. As you see there, that would be a game-high lead for them, but Biola would respond again as you see them ending the game with the service ace 25-23 to take a 3-0 win in that game. Dixie State is now 9-12 overall, 7-6 in Pac-West play. For the women's volleyball team, we'll let you know where they play in Southern California a little bit later in the show. To the golf course now as the men's golf team wraps up its time on the Hawaiian Islands on Saturday at the Hawaii Hilo hosted Dennis Rose Intercollegiate Tournament. The Trailblazers finished in 3rd place in the 8-team field, while sophomore Jace Frampton claimed a 2nd consecutive win, finishing in 1st place at 2 under. The feat marks just the 2nd player in DSU's NCAA era to win back-to-back tournaments. Senior Dalton Stanger also finished in the top 10 with a 10th place finish at 6 over. Dixie State has now concluded its fall schedule and will resume play in February. Let's stay on the golf course for a quick women's golf update. The Trailblazers finished Monday's opening round in a 2-way tie for 3rd place at the Cal State San Marcos Fall Classic. Today's final round is in progress as we speak. We'll have complete results for you at DixieStateAthletics.com. It's time for a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show with a look ahead at the upcoming schedule. Stick with us. There's more Trailblazer Weekly right after this timeout.
I take the road less traveled, run free, unwind, unravel someplace outside with lots to do. Green trees, red rocks, and don't forget that blue sky. The sunshine shining, sunshine pouring on me. Think I might just stay a while. Say hooray all day because the sun is gonna shine on me. Sun is gonna shine on me. Sun's gonna shine on me.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, What are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Your daughter is having trouble learning French. Do you A, hire a tutor?
Bonjour.
B, enforce a French-only rule at home? Or C, watch some foreign films? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Welcome back inside the CEC TV studios in this week's edition of Trailblazer Weekly. Before we wrap up the show today, let's take a quick look at this week's schedule. And as always, you can follow along on your screen. It was a busy weekend last week, kind of continues that same way this weekend. It starts, of course, with the women's golf team finishing their time at Cal State San Marcos today, and then men's basketball on the road in Orem, Utah tomorrow to take on Division I Utah Valley. We'll have that game for you. You can find some links to listen live and to live stats at DixieStateAthletics.com. Thursday is an empty day, so on to Friday. The women's swimming team back in action. They head up to Alaska. Take your winter coat with you that way, that's for sure. They will be at Alaska Fairbanks for a dual meet up there. And then women's volleyball will travel to Southern California to take on the Lancers of California Baptist, and of course a home event that night. Men's basketball, it is an exhibition. They will host Whittier College at 5 p.m. inside the Burns Arena. On to Saturday, and a very, very busy Saturday. Women's swimming finishing up their dual meet with Alaska Fairbanks, and then men's and women's cross country will head to Monmouth, Oregon for the NCAA West Region Championships. The women's race will start at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, followed by the men's race at 12:15 p.m. Mountain Time. Home event that day is the football team hosting number 24 nationally ranked Colorado State Pueblo in just the second meeting between the two teams. That will be at Legend Stoller Stadium at 1 p.m. A little bit later in the day, you've got men's and women's soccer at Azusa Pacific. It'll be a 5:30, home matches for the soccer teams at Legend Stoller Stadium. So come out to the stadium on Saturday. You can spend basically all day there, hang out, see the football game, and then women's soccer at 5:30 p.m., men's soccer to follow at 8 p.m., and of course the volleyball team on the road at Point Loma. That'll be a 6 p.m. Mountain Time start for the volleyball team, and then the volleyball team wrapping up our look ahead with their final back at home, the final game of our look ahead. They will host Hawaii Hilo inside the Student Activity Center at 6 p.m. on Monday.
That will do it for today's show. Remind you that you can catch all episodes of Trailblazer Weekly on demand on the Dixie State Athletics YouTube page, specifically at youtube.com/Dixie State Athletics.
Right, you are James. You can watch the show anytime, anywhere on our Dixie State Athletics YouTube page. For James and the entire CEC TV crew, I'm Carrick Sagmiller. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Trailblazer Weekly.